In order to talk about the passive voice, we need to talk about the active first. So in the active voice, you say who is doing something, who is carrying out the action. So you begin with the subject in the active voice, the one who does something. And then there is the verb, for example, I write, and then there is the object, the entity which is affected by my action. So this is the active voice, and the object from the active voice will become the subject in the passive voice. So the object from the active, which was at the end, is moved to the front of the sentence in the passive. So the passive subject is the first one in the passive sentence, to be followed by the verb to be. It is the present simple of the verb to be. And then passive participle. In most common literature, it is referred to as past participle, but we may refer to it as passive participle because it's there for the passive voice. So compare the tense again. This active sentence was written in the present simple tense, So this is the lexical verb in the present simple tense. And in the passive voice, it is the verb to be, which will be given in the present simple tense. And the lexical verb takes on the form of the passive participle. Now let's have a look at a progressive aspect sentence. For example, she's writing a sentence, so she is the subject in the active sentence, and is writing, this is present progressive, and a letter is, you will remember, the object in the active sentence. So this object becomes subject, there is a transition, it moves to the front in the passive voice. That's why you call it transitive. A transitive verb such as write is transitive on account of being transferable to the passive voice. So the object can be transferred to the subject position in the passive voice. Now, the verb to be is provided here in the present progressive, because the lexical verb in the active was provided in the present progressive. Now in the passive, it is the verb to be which is provided in the progressive. A letter is being written, and of course the lexical verb is provided in the form of the passive participle. So this is what happens in the progressive tenses. And to summarize this, before I give you some more examples, what is the structure of the passive voice? First, there is the subject, and that's the noun which was object in the active voice, like for example, I wrote letters, so letters was the object, and this object became subject in the passive voice. So this is the subjectivized object, if you like. So this is the passive subject, and then the verb to be, which is the auxiliary verb, auxiliary because it helps create the passive voice. It may be future simple, will be written. It may be past simple, was written. It may be past progressive, present perfect has been written and is being written. So which is the present progressive. So to give you a few more examples of such transformations from active into passive, like she makes mistakes, present simple makes mistakes. So mistakes are the verb to be, present simple, and made, this is the passive participle. And the next one is, I got to look a little bit to remember, he's breaking the wood, so is breaking, present progressive. In the passive voice, the wood is being broken. Is being, this is the present progressive of the verb to be, of the auxiliary verb to be. And then you can talk about the Past simple, remember that money is uncountable in English as it is in most other languages. So he hid the money, past simple, hid. So the money was hidden. Was, which is the past simple of the auxiliary verb to be, the money was hidden. You can sometimes hear the form the money was hid. I personally have heard it many times said by native speakers. But when you, especially when you write tests, exams, don't write was hid. Write the money was hidden. The treasure was hidden. Will be hidden. Is being hidden. And the present progressive. He's writing a book. So his writing is the present progressive tense, and therefore in the passive it will be the auxiliary verb to be, which will be provided in the present progressive, and the lexical verb will be provided in the passive participle. So to summarize the passive voice, you often use the passive voice to avoid saying who carried out the action, who did something. You just want to say what was done. But sometimes you may add, for example, a new book is being written by the famous author. But otherwise you may drop it and you may say the sentence without actually saying who the action was carried out by. So that's the passive voice.